property. Last night, Rob and I had the opportunity to talk to institutions in London as it relates to the group's insurance, and one of the things that they wanted to talk to us about was commercial property. And they did, as many have, including Ben Wilmot, at the, I think he's at the Australian these days, is thought, oh, commercial property is commercial property's in strife. Everyone's going to work at home. Let me tell you a few stories here. The first one is that I forgot to put the number in the downside of the REIT market there on the first dot point, but we'll just move on. Let's talk about retail, working backwards. Retail is death and destruction. Retail REITs, retail unlisted, has been hit, and it will continue to be hit. And if you go and have a look at the business stress chart right over there on the right hand side, and then have a look at the the performance of shopping centres on the left hand side, it is a really tough market at the moment, a really tough market, and they're going to have to rework their mixes and what have you. And indeed, that might provide us with some opportunity moving forward. Right now, let's just sit still on that. If we flick up to the top, office, and that was the focus of our friends in London last night. Oh, well, everyone's going to work from home. Well, people are going to work from home, and indeed, interestingly, there at one point, it was very difficult to buy a computer from HP, Dell and Lenovo. But I do notice overnight that HP's sales have slumped. But nevertheless, it was difficult to buy a computer, and that has got people thinking, right, well, everyone's going to work from their third bedroom for the rest of their life. There is a degree of that. The counter to that is that big institutions, they like to have people in the office, and they, like to henpeck them and micromanage them and what have you. And what is going to happen is that, and how do we know this is going to happen? Because they're already ringing their property managers and saying, I need more space. So why would you need more space if you're going to work out of your third bedroom? Well, the answer is that hot desking is, you can put a line through that, done. The next problem is that for 20 years in Australia, we've been narrowing the FSR. That means we've been putting more hens in the cage than we used to. And because we are a global thinking, forward-thinking country, we've never gone and built big campuses at Mountain View, California or alike here in Australia, and we've never gone to Redlands, Seattle or Beaver Creek, Portland, and gone out into the sticks and built big offices. We've built them all in Collins Street and next to the river in Brisbane and Circular Quay. And so our problem now, and because those buildings are so expensive, what CFOs have done is said, righto, well, we can have our office here, but you'll all have to sit on top of each other. Well, now the government said you can't sit on top of each other, so we need expanding FSRs. And where we used to have coffee shops and lunch breakout rooms, we can't have those anymore. So the guys at Charters and Dexus and the agents at the moment, they're getting inquiry from the big firms who are saying, yes, we'll have less people in the office, but we're going to need more space. And that feeds into where we're heading with aggregate demand, doesn't it? Because CFOs are going to be spending more money on rent and less on dividends. So, industrial, just go back to office. Places like Grosvenor Place, the coffee shops are cooked. And there will be small players who say, you know what, take my bond and I'm out of here. The big players, they're on long leases and they're going to need more space. One of the things you're seeing in the data which confuses the media is occupancy in Sydney CBD has fallen in office. That's because the New South Wales government has been on a 8-year plan to move out of the Sydney CBD. And for those of you who have investments in the Charter Hall PFA fund, which I'm sure most of you do because it's a fantastic fund, we'll see that they've just completed a building at Macquarie Park and the New South Wales government's moving in there. In industrial, rents are up, land prices are up, transactions are up, and the reason is because globally and in Australia, we are shipping more cardboard than we've ever shipped before. So the guys at Aura, Amcor, Visy, Oscor, they are making cardboard boxes like you would not believe. Australia Post is shipping more boxes, more parcels today than it was at Christmas 2019. So industrial is really strong. As I said, retail is death and destruction, and we just have to wade. We'll have to wade through that. We don't have much of an exposure, but just in context of we talk about negative correlation. Let me step back one. The other thing that's supporting property values, commercial property values, is low bond prices. Okay, the cost of borrowing. So capitalisation rates might expand. So property values might come back a bit, but the borrowing rate just fell, and it fell through the floor. So back to correlation. If you have a look at the AMP Wholesale Property Fund, which is really buildings below $100 million, some REITs, and a bucket load of cash in the form of a line of credit, that fund did a revaluation after the 31 March train smash in the equity market. And if we have a look at the REIT market, it was down 30%, 28-30% in that area. The AMP, Chris Davitt over at AMP, they did a revaluation on that fund. They were down across the, they called a revaluation on the unit price 7%. That fund includes neighbourhood malls in Casula in Western Sydney. So AMP with their REITs and their hard assets had come back 7%, and the listed market was down 20-something%. Okay? And he's still paying his dividends. If you have a look at the guys over at Charter Hall where they didn't have REITs, where they just have assets, hard assets, they're actually up. Their industrial fund is up. Their industrial fund is up. So that's the benefit of pure hard assets, if you like, in that sort of market. We go.